Lovely. So they are here, ladies and gentlemen. So let's start. Our next, I would once again take the pleasure and invite on stage our moderator, Mr. Rajendra Kalkar, Business Head Retail and Hospitality, Adani Realty. Let's give a huge round of applause and welcome him up on stage. Pleasure having you here, sir. Next, inviting my speakers for this session, we have Mr. Murtuza Kutianawala, Director, Bhumi World Factory Outlet. Mr. Abhishek Trehan, Executive Director, Trehan IRIS. Mr. Uddhav Poddar, CMD, Bhumika Group. And we have Mr. Salil Kumar, Director, CRC, joining us for this panel discussion. Well, it would be great where we already have the entire speaker and of course our moderator here on stage. Let's give a huge round of applause and welcome them for this discussion. Thank you so much. So, Rajendra, over to you.
Hello. Very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you, panelists, for coming and joining us. A lot of them have come today morning from a long travel as well, I'm told. But, what a fantastic topic to discuss with, the developers of the marquee properties across the country. There is a very famous word that everybody keeps using, customer experience. And it has become such a loosely used word that, my heart burns that, how everything is, people talk everything as customer service only without actually really understanding the depth and meaning of what a customer service means. These partners and panelists today that we have today are building fantastic assets. And, let's understand from them, from their perspective, what customer service would mean when they are planning a design of the assets that they are building. Because what happens is, I think, the design of an asset, if you are not incorporating customer service angle at that moment, perhaps it may not really come in its true color and true avatar what you would intend at the end of the day. Architecture and customer service today are so much interlinked with each other that you can't ignore them. And customer service is not restricted to giving a good customer service, what people loosely call. Customer service in their kind of asset classes would mean how they would treat the entry of a customer, whether he's a pedestrian customer, whether he's a four-wheeler customer, whether he's a vehicular customer. Once he enters the asset, how is he treated that, what kind of a feeling he is given, what look and feel he is given, what kind of five sensorial experience of all the five senses, how do they incorporate that in the design of the building that they are doing, which will enhance the real customer experience. So let's understand in depth from all of them, what really it means from a customer experience and marrying that with the design of a mall. So Murtuza, here is my first question to you. You are building a fantastic outlet mall. Now that's a different ball game altogether, different asset class. What was your thought when you were designing your mall from a design perspective and marrying customer experience to that in that kind of a structure, which is, outlet mall and little away from the main hustle bustle of the city?
Thank you, Rajendra ji. And it's really lovely being on this panel with such renowned and lovely gentlemen. To answer your question, sir, I think the concept of an outlet mall, at least in our city, in our state, is been a much needed requirement. We've been waiting for something like this to come, and when we felt like we have the right destination, we have the right place, it was about time that we stepped into offering a discounted mall format, but with an experience. Because of course, there are several malls in the north in the similar format, and they are there literally in every 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers radius from each other, and all of them are performing well. So in order to really top up what's existing out there, we knew that it was a no-brainer doing this. Convincing brands initially was hard. That's where the battle started. But once we got them to understand that people are going to travel to Bhiwandi just to ensure that they save 50% or 60% of what they would spend, it became a value proposition. Now, coming to answer your question as to how we are amplifying the design. Once we surpass the brand problem, we convince them to come on board. I think then we started thinking deeper into the value that we are adding in terms of the design aspect of things. We in fact changed after 6 months of pitching it to a multiple brand network. We changed our entire design. We realized that we didn't want the regular design format of how malls are built. That's when it's not the materials that we used, it's actually the right people, the architects that we got involved. And with the talent, we deployed a template that can be changeable, that can be experiential, and at the same time, we are able to add something new, if not every month, but every 6 months. Something that can keep adding. So we built an amphitheater, we built food trucks within the locality, which doesn't exist in at least Mumbai. In Delhi, it's a very common format. And also within the mall, how we can keep adding new experiences for customers who are going to take their time out to come to our mall. So we're still working on it. We're still evolving. But unfortunately, Prakash Bhai couldn't be here due to some personal commitments. But he did see this vision to be much greater than the brand itself, but make it more customer centric.
Interestingly, you said that, you're building an amphitheater there. So what kind of, can you elaborate a little bit on that because, in a mall which is maybe situated a little outside of the city, how, what prompted you to create that kind of a facility in that location?
So when we had to think about a couple of checkpoints, we knew that events, stand-up comedy events, concerts is going to be the primary objective of why people will come besides the discounted mall format. We knew that we want to bring people here in order to give them an experience every single time that they want to come drive down. Of course, I mean, discount is another reason that they would come, but so we built an amphitheater that's one of its kind. We are able to accommodate about 3,000 people seated in that amphitheater. It's an open amphitheater, so we're able to have concerts and everything. And right besides that, we've kept 10 F&B experience of 22 food trucks, which at any given point of time, 24/7 can be accessible to people.
Superb. Abhishek, you're building multiple mixed-use assets. Now, the moment you have a mixed-use asset, you will have a lot of challenges of traffic, multiple entries, multiple exits, multiple parking requirements, multiple security checks, access from A building to B building with an ease of from a customer's ease perspective rather than just a pure design and cost perspective. Can you, brief us how you look at the design to ensure a seamless customer experience from not only these perspectives, but other aspects that you would have thought while designing the architecture and design of your mixed-use assets?
Thank you so much for having me on this panel. I must congratulate Murtazar for creating an outlet mall. It's very, very novel for India. We've been thinking about it, and I think this will add a new direction to the asset class, new altogether asset class in India, and really nice to know all the thoughts that he has. Definitely, sir, we are doing mixed-use development, and the major challenge is definitely creating that ease of traffic flow and also an independent asset experience for all the visitors to each and every type of asset. So in the last mall, we have a hotel, we have an office tower, and we have retail, wherein we had to really work hard. I think it took almost 3 months to design the traffic movement, because each of them have to have a drop off. The front is limited. There is only a single road, and these are the asset classes which are coming up everywhere, wherein the experience can really go from being amazing in terms of how the building looks to how the customer is feeling when they experience the mall, and it can totally go down to being a bad experience. So there are a lot of challenges for sure, but I'd like to add that what we need to understand, the target market for each and every asset class is different. Offices have some timing, so you have to really engage with the perfect benchmarks in mixed-use developments through understanding, what are they doing right, what are they doing wrong, and one has to never shy away from talking to experts. So may it be, traffic consultants, or may it be the IPCs for understanding what are the best benchmarks that have been created in India and abroad for mixed-use developments, and learning from them and then finding out the best way to do it. So the new development that we're coming up with in Noida, that also was a big challenge, because the designers gave us an option of coming through the office tower drop off to the retail, and we did not like it. We kept persevering and brainstorming what to do, and eventually we had a separate retail drop off and a separate ramp entry for the retail. So when the retail customer is coming, he would not even know the office is there. He will have a whole new experience of just being surrounded by that retail. But at the same time, the office person would be able to access the retail through a hidden sort of a seamless manner, wherein it will not be imposing that the office is existing in that property. And it's a very nice question, and it's one of the biggest problems to solve.
Thank you so much, Abhishek. Uddhavji, you are in one of your developments is in the city of Lakes. And, that is one city which I would call as really a complicated city from a asset class perspective. People would say Udaipur is a tier 2 city, wahan to kya hai, kuch bhi bana do. But at least from my perspective, I see, that is one city which caters to the best of the class customers, whether they are national or international. The amount of tourism traffic that Udaipur gets is very, very, very high. The amount of weddings that Udaipur hosts is humongous. And for weddings, Udaipur is a costly place as compared to all other cities in the country. So the kind of people also who come and stay there for 2 nights, or even if they're coming for a wedding, that's a really very good quality of customers. Now, when you're designing, building a mall in a city like Udaipur, where, other than the local residents of Udaipur, you can expect a huge amount of national and international tourist influx into the mall as well. And their expectations would be obviously from anywhere the way they would expect in a tier 1 city. So when you are designing this mall, or when you design malls for cities which are like this multifaceted, what extra care, what guidance would you give to people from your experience that they should take care when building malls in such cities, keeping customer experience and a combination of design, customer experience and cost at bay? What would be your thought on this for everybody's knowledge?
Thank you. I think you hit the nail on the head. When we went out to build this mall, we were very clear about the vision for the development. It was not catered to only the city. It was catering to the moving traffic, because it's on the main national highway. So it gets a lot of traffic coming in from Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad is a dry state, which gets weekend traffic coming into Udaipur. Plus there's a large temple called Nathdwara, which is India's second richest temple. This is on the way to that temple. Plus, of course, tourist traffic coming in from the airport. Also, Udaipur is the largest city in south of Rajasthan. Although Udaipur city itself is not very large, the entire south of Rajasthan belt is quite large, and all these small towns feed off Udaipur. So our development was focused for this entire south of Rajasthan belt, tourists and the Udaipur cities, which was quite complicated, and making the retailer understand was quite difficult. Because retailers per se were not very gung-ho about coming to Udaipur city, because the numbers didn't look that attractive. However, we were very clear about our vision. We got this project approved as a tourism project. We called it a tourism project. Wow. We've built a service apartment. We built offices. We're building a 200-room hotel. We've of course built retail with a lot of F&B. And like Abhishek said, the idea was that while they complement each other, they don't disturb each other. So we built it in such a manner. About cost, you're absolutely right. We had to put in the amount of capital that you need to build in a tier 1 town. It's the amount of money that is gone in is same. And the asset has opened up in phases for us. We've built 1 million square feet right now. A second million is planned for phase 2, by the way. So what we realized is once the retail opened, the numbers were good. But once the hospitality part started opening up, the numbers started improving, like you're saying. And the only thing I would say is that if you have a vision, you have to stick to that vision. A lot of retailers, F&B brands were not keen to come to Udaipur, but we convinced them. We had certain spaces earmarked for them when they had no plans to come to that city. We kept that space vacant for them till the time the project was ready, and we convinced them to come. And I think that's what's helped us get the right mix of the product.
Great. Thank you so much. I think, Udaipur is a lovely city, and those who have not been to this mall, I think it's a lovely mall to be there once. It's a jewel for Udaipur, I would say. Salilji, good afternoon. As an organization, you have a lot of developments you have done. As an experience, you have done a lot of developments. Can you, if you can give your thoughts on, what people miss while they are talking to their architects? Because architects have a different view. For them, other than the facade and the interiors, perhaps nothing else is important. Their focus is only facade and interiors. Whereas everything else from a business perspective is your perspective. And how do you marry that perspective with the architects? How do you push them to achieve the ultimate business goal of not only having a beautiful interior and exterior, but a seamless experience which gels with the customer, their movements, and how does that push happen, and what techniques you have to use with the architects to actually achieve success in achieving this good combination?
Very good question, Rajendra ji. Actually, Rajendra ji, the world in India, जो हमारा ये ज़माना है, जितना हम 75 ईयर में ट्रैवल किया है आज़ादी के बाद, वो अब पिछले 2 सालों से और अगले 4-5 साल में उससे दोगुना हम ट्रैवल करने वाले. This is a mind-blowing figure. 75 years of travel and this 7 years, जो 2 साल निकल गए और आगे 5 साल हैं, वो अगले ये 5 साल उससे दोगुने ज़्यादा ट्रैवल करने वाले हैं. In terms of demands, supply, purchasing power, तिगुनी होने वाली है. आपकी जनरेशन, यंग जनरेशन 65% है, उनकी डिमांड आ रही है. आपकी हर चीज़ की डिमांड अगले 5 साल में ट्रिपल होने वाली है. और उस पर एक और परेशानी है, सब लोग रिच पे रिचर और होने वाले हैं. सबको लग्जरी चाहिए, एक्सपीरियंशियल रिटेल चाहिए. रिटेल नहीं चाहिए, एक्सपीरियंशियल रिटेल चाहिए. तो सबसे पहले हमें क्या करना होगा, जो हम बजट बनाते हैं अपने प्रोजेक्ट्स का, अगर उसमें हमने आर्किटेक्ट्स और कंसल्टेंट के फिक्स अभी तक एक्स देते थे, अब आपको ऑलमोस्ट 8 to 10x देने का जमाना आ गया. सबसे पहली चीज, बजट आपका 10 करोड़ है, 100 करोड़ कर लीजिए साहब उसको. आपको लैंडस्केप एक सुपर डुपर चाहिए. आर्किटेक्ट इज मेयरली एन आर्किटेक्ट जो आपको डिज़ाइन और फसाड और एमईपी दे देगा. अब एक्सपीरियंशियल रिटेल आपको, या एक्सपीरियंशियल ऑफिस, या एक्सपीरियंशियल हॉस्पिटैलिटी देनी है, तो आपको बहुत सारे कंसल्टेंट चाहिए, बहुत सारे रिसर्च चाहिए. तो सबसे पहला आप 10 गुना आप बजट बढ़ाइए उसको. एक्सपीरियंशियल रिटेल, ऑफिस, हॉस्पिटैलिटी के लिए एक बेसिक फंडामेंटल है कि आप एबीसी बोलते हैं उसको, अराइवल, बैक एरिया और कॉमन एरिया. उसका पूरा आप 1, 2, 3 तैयार कीजिए. अराइवल has to be very good. Good from the traffic plan, the moment somebody enters your complex. Division चाहिए, साथ में आपको अराइवल के समय वाटरफॉल चाहिए, आपको वर्टिकल गार्डन चाहिए। डिमांड्स कितनी बढ़ रही हैं, जो आर्किटेक्चर में नहीं पढ़ाया जाता उन लोगों को, वो आपको सब कुछ देना है। बिग, जैसे यहाँ पे आपको ट्रिपल हाइट चाहिए आज, आई डोंट नो इसका हाइट 40 फुट होगा या ज़्यादा है, हैं? ज़्यादा होगा, 50 फुट होगा शायद। तो अब बताइए 50 फुट का आप ये वो कर रहे हैं, तो आपको अराइवल एक्सपीरियंस बहुत अच्छा देना है। आज कॉमन एरिया एक्सपीरियंस भी बहुत अच्छा देना है, एयर कंडीशनिंग भी बहुत अच्छी देनी है। अब यंग जनरेशन को बायोफिलिक भी चाहिए, आपके फसाड में ग्रीन एलिमेंट्स भी फसाड में भी चाहिए, इंटर में भी चाहिए, कॉमन एरिया में भी चाहिए, वॉशरूम तक में आपको चाहिए उसका कोई ना कोई ट्री लगा हुआ हो। तो बायोफिलिक भी चाहिए, वाटरफिलिक भी चाहिए और इंटरटेनमेंट भी चाहिए आपको मॉल्स में। तो इतनी सारी डिज़ाइन आपकी फ्यूचर की अगले 5 साल के लिए जो जनरेशन आ रही है उन सबको ये चाहिए। अगर आप यहाँ नहीं देते हैं वो दुबई चले जाएंगे खरीदने, तो उनको यहाँ आपको होल्ड करना है। तो ये बहुत बड़ी रॉकेट साइंस बन रही है आज के समय में प्रोजेक्ट डिज़ाइनिंग। जो कभी एक नॉर्मल चीज़ होती थी, 3 महीने में आप नक्शे फाइल कर देते थे, वो अब 1.5 साल का सब्जेक्ट हो गया। तो दिस इज हाउ वी आर डूइंग लॉट ऑफ रिसर्च, लॉट ऑफ एवरीथिंग। आपको वर्टिकल ट्रांसपोर्ट, आपको 17 कैपेसिटी वाले में 7 या 8 से ज़्यादा लोग नहीं ट्रैवल करते हैं आज कोविड के बाद। एवरीबडी वांट्स गुड स्पेस, तो आपको अपने ट्रैवलेटर और आपको वर्टिकल ट्रांसपोर्ट इंक्रीज करने पड़ेंगे, उनका एक्सपीरियंस अच्छा देना है आपको। तो जनरेशन जी बहुत ज़्यादा डिमांडिंग आ रही है एंड दे आर रेडी टू पे फॉर दैट। इंसिडेंटली हमारी परचेजिंग पावर जो आज 4 से 5 ट्रिलियन यूएस डॉलर है, परचेजिंग पावर पैरिटी की बात कर रहा हूँ, वो अगले 5 साल में 14 यूएस ट्रिलियन डॉलर पहुँचने वाली है। थर्ड लार्जेस्ट आफ्टर यूएस एंड चाइना। चाइना की 16 के आसपास है, हम 14 पहुँच रहे। कैन यू इमेजिन, हमारे पास सप्लाई नहीं होंगी अगले 5 साल में। और अच्छे मॉल तो बिल्कुल ही नहीं है, जो जैन जी को चाहिए। अच्छे मॉल से कोई ऑफेंड ना हो, मैं कह रहा हूँ जो जनरेशन नेक्स्ट को मॉल चाहिए उनकी सप्लाई बहुत शॉर्टेज में है। तो अगर पोद्दार साहब आप अच्छे मॉल बना रहे हैं, रिलैक्स बैठिए, मार्केट बहुत अच्छा है। त्रेहन साहब मज़े करिएगा अगले 5 साल में, अगर अच्छी चीज़ बना रहे हैं तो आपके पास ब्रांड्स की लाइन लगने वाली है, नॉट ओनली इंडियन, फ्रॉम आउटसाइड ऑल्सो। वर्ल्ड के बहुत सारे ब्रांड इंडिया में एंट्री लेने आ रहे हैं। हमारे पास शॉर्टेज है सर अगले 5 साल में, अच्छे ब्रांड्स की, अच्छे होटल्स की और अच्छे रेजिडेंशियल्स की, जो उनकी डिमांड्स हैं। आज हर एक जेनजी को क्लब रेजिडेंशियल हाउसिंग में कम से कम 50, 60, 70, 80 हज़ार फुट का चाहिए, और नॉर्मली 15 से 20 हज़ार के होते हैं। तो सप्लाई शॉर्टेज है। तो एंजॉय जेंटलमैन, इंडिया इज शाइनिंग मार्केट, मोस्ट शाइनिंग मार्केट ऑन द अर्थ कमिंग नेक्स्ट 5 years. लेट्स एंजॉय इट, बशर्ते हम अपनी रिसर्च के साथ अपने बजट्स बढ़ा के अच्छी चीज़ बना रहे हों। तो दिस इज माई स्टेटमेंट। Thank you.
Thank you, Salilji. Thank you so much. Abhishek, I have a question which is arising from what Salilji has said. You know, he's saying that the cost of capital for construction because of all these things is actually, he is indicating that it is going to go up tremendous high. And the reasoning that he is trying to provide is that, you know, it's the customer who's expecting all these things. Not that there is a need from the developer side, but there's an expectation from the customer side that all these expectations have to be fulfilled, otherwise he will go to some other mall in some other country. Do you really, are you planning to incorporate from a design perspective such important aspects of customer experience which, you know, will take your budget? Because you're doing a mixed use, so the impact on your budgets might be one of the highest. So I would like to have some thoughts from you on what Salil ji is propagating.
I think इन्होंने तो सच्चाई बता दी है, क्योंकि थोड़ा टाइम मुझे भी हो गया काम करते, और जो हम आज से 10 साल पहले सोचते थे, अब उससे चीज़ें बहुत चेंज हो गई, बहुत, मतलब बहुत ज़्यादा। हर प्रोजेक्ट को एक आर्किटेक्ट को दिया जाता था, वो प्लान्स निकालता था, उसको सबमिट कर दिया जाता था, काम खत्म। अब पहले आप फीजिबिलिटी स्टडी करते हैं कि मार्केट का टारगेट कस्टमर कौन है, आपके यहाँ पे आएगा कौन, उसके पास उसकी चॉइसेस क्या हैं, उसका लाइफस्टाइल क्या है, उसके पास पैसे कितने हैं, वो कितनी बड़ी फैमिली है उसकी, एंड उसकी बिहेवियर क्या है। वो पूरी एनालिसिस के बाद आप देखते हैं कि और क्या उसको कोई चीज़ जो प्रोवाइड हो रही है वो उसका पेट भरा हुआ है नहीं भरा हुआ, कहाँ पे उसकी पेट खाली है, उस चीज़ को आप बनाओ। फिर वो पूरे एनालिसिस के बाद आप सोचते हो कि चलो इसमें ये बनाते हैं, वो लैंड यूज उससे डिटर्मिन होता है। उसके बाद आप देन यू स्टार्ट रिसर्चिंग ऑन व्हाट इज द बेस्ट ब्रीफ यू कैन गिव द आर्किटेक्ट। बिकॉज पहले क्या होता था, ये जी FAR है, ये प्लॉट है और इसमें आप शॉप्स निकाल दो, ऊपर ऑफिस निकाल दो, काम खत्म। अब आपको एक एक चीज़ आर्किटेक्ट को बतानी पड़ती है। जो ब्रीफ जाता है हमारे यहाँ से वही कोई 20-25 पेज का होता है, और अगर उसमें आप रिसर्च करके फिजिबिलिटी स्टडी की चीज़ें डालो तो 100 पेज तक चला जाता है। फिर वो आर्किटेक्ट उस पर दिमाग लगाता है, एंड देन इनिशियल स्टेज पे ही 10 से 12 कंसल्टेंट उसके साथ काम करते हैं हर फील्ड के। अगर ट्रैफिक है तो सिक्योरिटी अलग है, अगर इंटीरियर है तो एक्सपीरियंशियल अलग है कि हु इज़ द रिटेल कंसल्टेंट की व्हाट आर एक्सपीरियंसिंग इज गेटिंग, फसाड लाइटिंग, और इतनी चीज़ें उसमें चली जाती हैं। MEP के कितने टाइप्स होते हैं। सर ने ठीक कहा, नॉर्मली जो हम मॉल्स पहले बना रहे थे, लोगों की एक्सपेक्टेशन थी कि हम GK, M ब्लॉक, यहाँ से डिफेंस कॉलोनी, कनॉट प्लेस से निकले मॉल में आ गए। बट अब क्या है, अब लोगों को पता है कि बेस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड क्या है, और ऑलरेडी हमारे पास कुछ ऐसे एग्जाम्पल्स हैं ऑल ओवर इंडिया विच आर डूइंग अ वेरी गुड जॉब इन मिक्स्ड यूज। सो पीपल आर बेंचमार्किंग दैट। वॉट यू हैव टू डू इज बियॉन्ड दैट, क्योंकि आपने प्रॉपर्टी बनानी है कम से कम 50 साल के लिए, तो आपको तो बहुत ही आगे सोचना पड़ेगा। सो वर्ल्ड में से क्या ला सकते हैं, क्या चीज़ें नहीं दे सकते हैं, और सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी डिज़ाइनिंग है। डेफिनेटली कॉस्ट इज़ समथिंग यू हैव टू बेट ऑन इंडिया बिग टाइम। मतलब दिल खोल के आपको बस खर्चने हैं पैसे, सब खाली कर देना है, और उसके बाद सोचना है कि आगे देखा जाएगा। क्योंकि अगर आप आज नहीं करोगे ये चीज़, दैट मीन्स यू आर शाइंग अवे from the story that is coming, and which Salil sir rightly said, it's amazing, and we are looking into a bright future. So after you're done with the design, तब जाके बारी आती है कॉस्ट कंसल्टेंट की, भाई बता दो, बना तो दिया, अभी है कितने का, and then probably you can start shaving off a little bit, चलो इसकी जगह ये कर लेते हैं, ये कर लेते हैं, तो वैल्यू इंजीनियरिंग चलती है। But initially you have to go all guns blazing. And obviously, I mean, location matters, your target segment matters. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि आप कोई चीज़ गाजियाबाद में बना रहे हैं और वो इस लेवल की हो कि वो साकेत की लेवल की हो। So you have to be, sensitive to the market and the target customer. So yeah.
Uddhav ji, capital cost from designing perspective is perhaps a given fact these days that it will be required, the cost of construction will go up. But do you really find some solutions? Do you really work hard with your teams to ensure that without compromising on the customer experience, without compromising the quality of the design that you've built, when you're operating an asset, are you looking at, cost cutting measures or value engineering during operations so that, your overall costs remain under control?
So first I'd like to just add to what Abhishek and Salil ji said. I think today we are building assets for the next 50 years. And the customer of today is so well exposed because of social media, travel, etc. If you build an asset which is not world class, it's a matter of time your asset will go down. So from that point of view, the vision has to be to produce a world-class asset. And like he said, of course, once you start building, you see what value engineering can be done in the construction phase. While of operations, of course, you can build in SOPs and systems which you can bring in cost saving. So thankfully in mixed use developments, it happens in some manner because our parking infrastructure can be used. Like if you have a hotel that works more at night and the retail works in the day. So things like that happen, and the offices work in weekdays, retail works more in the weekend. So our, the infrastructure for power backup, etc., can be utilized better. So from that point of view, those things can be done. Mixed use actually work out better from that point of view. And from an operational point of view, there are many things I think the operational teams are doing on a day-to-day basis. It's like running a factory or running a hospitality asset. You look at your costs every month. You see how you can minimize them or optimize them is the right word without letting the customer experience getting spoiled.
Murtaza ji, you are a little away in your kind of format from all of this because you're building a vaster format, which is not a very tall. But did you also face capital challenges when, as compared to what everybody else is facing? So typically for this outlet mall, the kind of challenges that everybody else is facing?
Interestingly, what Salil ji mentioned and, what the other panelists also mentioned, I think what we've thrived on while making this entire plan was not capital driven, it was more emotion driven. I think, like Sir said, that Gen Z is critically a very important part of our next generation. We also have to understand that they are very, very emotional, a lot more emotional than what we are today. So does what we spend on matter to them? I think it's much lesser than that. I think it's a lot more to do with what's the experience that we are offering, and I believe that experiences don't come with money only. I think being into hospitality, I have understood that in order to create something that's arty, unique, and a good experience, somewhere इस चीज़ को हमको समझना पड़ेगा कि इनको प्लीज़ करने के लिए जहाँ उन्होंने ऑलरेडी बहुत सारे कंट्रीज ट्रैवल कर लिया है, उन्होंने ऑलरेडी देखा हुआ है, कहीं ना कहीं वी हैव टू लुक एट समथिंग डिफरेंट टू ऑफर. So while it is obviously saving their money, in our case, we've also tried to ensure that everything is the first, everything is new. There is a direct connection, a story, a brand that we're building for them. That's what they're buying into. Rather than, of course, the material expense that we always keep looking at.
I would like to ask a simple question to all of you, actually, the same question maybe. And, pick your brains on what you feel. If you talk to experts in mixed use and retail in the world, they generally have a very simple comment. Success or failure of the asset is actually defined at the time of design only. If it is designed well, it will succeed. If it is not designed well, it will not succeed. So before it actually starts operations, people are generally having a view that the success or failure is predefined based on what you have already designed, from keeping in perspective the customer experience or the way that you have put it up together, internal, external facades or beauties or whatever IDs you have put up, or whatever water bodies or whatever chandeliers you have put up or access you have given. How far each one of you thinks that is true or false? Please.
Rajendra ji, interestingly, I am an engineer और मैंने काफ़ी बड़ी कंपनी में वर्ल्ड की काम किया है. दैट वाज वन ऑफ द टॉप 5 कंपनी इन द वर्ल्ड. तो वहाँ पे एक चीज़ थी, वो कंपनी आज भी बहुत सक्सेसफुल है. वो लोग हर साल अगले 50 साल का बिजनेस प्लान बनाते हैं. एवरी ईयर in every department has to prepare 50-year business plan. We as a developer in India, ourselves, हम सबको बहुत कुछ, सभी को educate होना है. हम सब फेल नहीं हो सकते. एक बड़ी इंग्लिश की सिंपल सी कहावत भी बोलेंगे, you are what you think what you are. अगर मैंने सोचा मैं 50 साल एक वंडरफुल काम कर रहा हूँ या 60 साल या एक ऐसी कंपनी बना रहा हूँ जो परपेचुअल अच्छी चलेगी, तो क्यों नहीं चलेगी? लेकिन इंटरेस्टिंगली हम लोग बड़े शॉर्ट विजन के ऊपर, यार ये मेरी लैंड है, ये मेरी एफएसआई है, बेच बाच के अपने डेल्टा बनाया और निकल लिए। तो जो हमारी एक कॉलैप्स आया कि हमारे यहाँ 98% मॉल बंद हो गए कंट्री में, तो उस सोच से ऊपर चलना पड़ेगा, आपकी मजबूरी है, नहीं तो आप कोलैप्स। तो आप क्या सोच के चल रहे हैं? क्या हाँ मैं एक एक्सपीरियंशियल रिटेल बना रहा हूँ या हॉस्पिटैलिटी प्रोजेक्ट कर रहा हूँ, तो मेरा ठीक है, मैं 70 50 60 साल के लिए कर रहा हूँ कम से कम, तो चलेगा। तो हमारी सोच ही हमें डिफाइन करेगी। थैंक यू।
So I think answering your question, I think yes, design does play a very important role, and but design is not only about facade and lighting and chandelier. It's more about functionality. I think, especially in retail, if functionality is not there, if as much as you can put the best marble, retail won't work. That's my limited experience in retail, and that's what I've seen. If you give the customer functionality, ease to move, even if the building doesn't look the prettiest, he'll come back to your mall. If suppose there's no parking and he comes to your mall, he's not going to come again because he doesn't want to wait. So I think that these are the more important aspects in planning rather than architecture. I think it's planning which is very, very important. If you to get the planning right in retail, it will make a big difference.
एक चीज़ और बोलूँगा, जैसे आप अगर एग्जाम्पल ले लें तो एक सॉफ्ट ड्रिंक की कंपनी है, उसने 20 साल या 25 साल पहले प्लानिंग कर ली थी कि लोग ये पिएंगे, मोटे होंगे, छोड़ेंगे और डाइट कोक या डाइट पेप्सी आएगा। तो ये प्लानिंग का पार्ट होना चाहिए। हमें पता है हम फास्ट फूड खोल रहे हैं, लगातार चल रहे हैं, बाद में ऑर्गेनिक फूड का ज़माना आएगा और ज़बरदस्त आएगा। उसकी प्लानिंग चाहिए हमें कि आज से 5 साल 6 साल बाद जब ये हमारे जितने चिकन अजीब अजीब सी चीज़ें हैं तो वो सभी डिप्लीट होंगी, ख़त्म होंगी, फिर ऑर्गेनिक फूड का ज़माना आएगा। तो हो सकता है आपको धोती कुर्ता पहने पंडित जी फ्रेश खाना बना रहे होंगे वहाँ पे। आज फैक्ट्रियों से बन के आता है, सब कुछ आउटसोर्स है, सवेरे 8 बजे का आप रात 8 बजे खाते हैं, तो वो सब चीज़ें ख़त्म होने वाली हैं आगे। तो हमें ये भी प्लानिंग का पार्ट में लेना है कि रिप्लेसमेंट क्या आना है 6 साल बाद, 5 साल बाद, 10 साल बाद। जैसे फैशन ट्रेंड चेंज होता है, फूडिंग ट्रेंड भी चेंज होगा, सब कुछ चेंज होगा। गाड़ी मारुति से अभी किया कार्निवाल अभी आ रही है, उसका साइज़ देखिए ना आप, चेंज हो रहा है ना वर्ड। तो हमें हर चीज़ की प्लानिंग डालनी पड़ती है, तो कभी आप फ्लॉप नहीं होंगे, मेरा ये कहना है। थैंक यू।
Yes, Abhishek ji.
I just want to add, they said everything, कि the mall और office space और hospitality, everything, सबसे ज़रूरी है not the looks, not the way it is, not how beautiful it is in the lobby, और कि वहाँ पे customer easily पहुँच पा रहा है, पार्क करके ऊपर जा रहा है, he is finding what he needs to get without too much hassle. He is able to have all the brands which are relevant to him, and he comes there and he is getting a good temperature. It's not too cold, not too hot. It doesn't have, smelly toilets. It doesn't have elevators where you are stuck. And अगर ये चीज़ें basic भी हम solve कर लेते हैं तो world class है, वहीं पे हम world class हैं. Because these things also are not a given right now in India, and we have a long way to go to. And this for me is, this basic experience is the biggest experience. Rest of course is novelty and everything. Yes.
What would you say about it?
I think most points are covered, but just to highlight a few from what they already said, I think functionality, while it's the most important thing, at the design stage when we already have something locked and we, like sir said, कि हमें ऐसी planning करनी है कि हम 10 साल, 15 साल और 20 साल के बाद भी कुछ ऐसी चीज़ें हैं जो change कर सके. I think adaptability and the ability to be able to change also needs to be a part of your design project. Because if we do not keep room for change, especially from an architecture point of view, to an experience point of view, to a functionality point of view, we will never be able to be ready for the future because जो changes 10 साल में हो रहे थे अब 5 साल में हो रहे अब कल जाके 3 साल में होना शुरू हो जाएगा and maybe in every year also we might be having such changes. So I think we need to be ready for change.
One last question, one word answer from each one of you. Murtuza ji, substance or style?
I believe substance always.
Substance. What would you say, Abhishek ji? Substance or style?
Substance with little style.
For me also substance, but today you can't miss out on style, you know. But yeah, substance is more key.
I little differ. Substance with style, with sustainability.
With sustainability. Well said. Thank you so much, panelists.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thanks for.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure having you all here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I would request you to please stay back before we conclude this session. A small token of appreciation for all of you being here. And Rajendra sir, I would request you to please do the honor. Of course, let's get the picture done. So requesting you to felicitate our panelists. Let's start with Mr. Murtuza. Next, Mr. Abhishek. Mr. Uddhav. And Mr. Salil. Well, now to felicitate our moderator, where I would request you, Murtuza, to please do the honor. Thank you, sir, for conducting it so well. Thank you, all the speakers, for sharing this insight with us. Thank you so much. So ladies and gentlemen, with this we conclude this session. Once again, thanks to our moderator, our speakers, and of course our audience. We have one last panel to go here in this conference room.